Hello and welcome to 2-2. Today we're going to be talking about translating between words and math. So I thought this was a great thing for you to write into your notes, kind of some clues to help you decide, am I adding, am I subtracting? So let's write this little table into our notes here. So if you see words like put together or combine, you know the operation we're going to be doing is adding. If it says find out how much more or less somebody has, we know we're going to be finding the difference or subtracting. If we say put together groups, that keyword group will tell us we're going to be multiplying if those groups are equal parts. And then lastly, if it says separate into equal groups, so put together is multiply, separate is divide. So let's get started. The Nile River is the world's largest river. Let N stand for the length in miles of the Nile River. The Amazon River is 4,000 miles long. Write an expression to show how much longer the Nile River is than the Amazon. So, to find out how much longer, we would need to subtract the length of the Amazon from the length of the Nile, because we know the Nile is the longest. So that would be the first number in our subtraction problem, which is called the minuend. So the first one would be our Nile River, and we don't know how long that is. So it says let N represent the length of the Nile River. And then we want to find how much longer the Nile River is than the Amazon. So I need to subtract 4,000 miles from the Nile River to find that difference. Now it says write an expression, so I don't need to write an equal sign, and I know that this is my answer. So N is the length of the Nile, which we don't know. Length of the Nile. And then the 4,000, now that is the length of the Amazon. So that's all we have to do. We wrote our expression and we are done. So this would be our answer right here. N minus 4,000. All right, let's try another one. Let S represent the number of senators that each of the 50 states has in the United States. Write an expression for the total number of senators in all of the United States. So when we look at this, we could say, oh, well, maybe each state has 3 senators. Maybe each state has 5 senators. We don't know how many senators each state has. But we need to put together 50 equal groups of S. So really, we're looking at multiplying 50 times S. Now, we talked about yesterday that would look like 50 S. Okay, and I know that that's multiplying because I have a number next to a variable. So I know that that is going to be my expression. And again, it says expression. So I'm always going to double check back in the question. Does it say equation? Do I need an equal sign? Or does it just say expression? So that would be our answer. There are 50 S, 50 times however many senators from each state in the U.S. Senate. Okay, so let's go to our next spot here. Now this, I would highly recommend you need to get this into your notebook because it kind of shows different ways to translate from an expression into words. So if you had a numerical expression like 37 plus 28, here is 4 different ways you could write that. 28 added to 37, 37 plus 28, the sum of 37 and 28, 28 more than 37. This could be if it asks you to do an algebraic expression. We just put that variable in there. We could say 28 added to x, x plus 28, the sum of x and 28, or 28 more than x. Okay, so please just go through here. You can see sum, difference, product, quotient. That is all stuff we practiced before. Just kind of like the multiplied by, times, groups of. That's kind of those things you need to write down. So please copy this into your notes. It's going to be extremely helpful in the future. So please take the time to write this down. Okay, so now using that table that we had on the previous slide, I'm going to use that to answer these questions. Write each phrase as a numerical or algebraic expression. So 287 plus 932. So this one we're going to write as a numerical expression, I suppose. So I just write 287 plus 932. It's a numerical expression because it just uses numbers. And let's look at the next one. B divided by 14. So we want B to be divided into 14 equal groups. So I would write that. We talked about this in last night's video. B divided by 14 is how we would write that. Our top divided by our bottom, or our numerator divided by our denominator. Okay, so that's how I would write that one. Would I accept it if you did B divided by 14? Yes, I would, but we're kind of trying to get into using this format more now. Okay, so now I have to do the opposite. They gave me the numerical and the algebraic expressions, and I need to write two phrases to describe those. Okay, so A minus 45. I could do 45 subtracted. I'm just going right off of that chart, you guys. That's why that chart's so important. Subtracted from A. Or I could write A minus 45. So those are my two phrases. I could also have said 45 less than A, take away 45 from A. Those are all things that I could have chosen. Now remember, this one is actually a multiplying because we have parentheses that are next to each other, which signifies that you need to multiply them. Okay, so I could say 34 times 7. That is an option. I could do 34 or 7 groups of 34. Let's do that one. Okay, other options I could have done 34 times 7. Oh, sorry, I did that one. I could do 34 multiplied by 7, the product of 7 and 34. Those are all options I could have done. So as you can see, it is very important you get that table written into your notes so that you can use that to help you. Okay? So that's all that I have for you today. We're just kind of working on going between numbers and words so that you can know, like when you raise your hand to answer a question in math class, you can know how you can say those, like what's going on in the problem. Okay? So we're practicing that today. Tomorrow we're going to be practicing translating between tables and expressions. We're kind of taking it a step further. So make sure you take really good notes today. It will really help you in the future. Anyways, thank you for watching.